I have some disturbing stats I want to share with you about fatherless homes. And by the way, some of the stats, you know, I've seen this before. I'm going to tell you, when you read some of these stats, you're going to sit there and say, that is insane. By the way, these stats are from 2021 of the impact a father makes in a child upbringing, both a girl and a boy. Like I said, disturbing, but you will be shell shocked with the stats. If you get value from the video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Let me get right into it. The US has the highest rate of children living in a single parent household of any nation in the world. About 80% of single parent homes are led by single mothers, at a rate of 23% of children living with one parent and no other adult. The United States stands over 3 times the world average of 7% of children raised by one parent. For reference, the number stands at 3% in China, 4% in India. This is not an area we want to be competing with other countries, by the way. If there is a statistic to not be competing in, this is one of the statistics. China's at 3, India's at 4, the world's at 7. We're at 23% in America. Zero bragging rights. This is the stat everybody wants to hide. And this is the stats where the side effects of this, we ain't gonna see for 2 decades or 3 decades or longer. Takes a while to see the side effects. Let me continue. Even for children with a father present in the home, the average school-age boy only spends about 30 minutes per week with one-on-one conversations with his father. For comparison, the same boy, on average, will spend about 44 hours a week watching television, playing video games, and surfing the internet. In our house, there is no video games throughout the week. It's on the weekends. After you read 150 pages throughout the week, then you have the right to play video games for an hour or 2 on the weekend, and that's what you have to earn. You have to move your body, you have to exercise. There's certain things you need to do to get to that point. That's our household, but the stat tells you 44 hours a week of watching TV, playing video games, and surfing the internet. Let me continue. 90% of all homeless and runaway children, 63% of teen suicides, 85% of children and teens with behavior disorders come from fatherless homes. Let me read that stat to you one more time. 90% of all homeless and runaway children, 63% of all teen suicide, 85% of children and teens with behavioral disorder come from fatherless homes. That is a very, very big number. Next, fatherlessness likewise has a direct link to teen pregnancy and sexual activity. Roughly 70% of teenage pregnancies come from women raised in a fatherless home. 70% of teenage pregnancies comes from fatherless homes. 70%. That's a big number. And these same women have significantly higher abortion rates than women raised by both a father and a mother. On the whole, fatherless kids are 20 times more likely to be incarcerated and 11 times more likely to exhibit violent behavior than children from 2-parent household. 20 times more, okay? 20 times more. If a man and a wife raise a child, they're less likely to end up in jail, but they have the same chances as children raised by just their father. You may already be blown away by the stats before, so maybe come back and let me read this to you and brace for impact if you missed it. Let me read it one more time. Listen. Just stay with me. Don't get distracted. Stay with me. Listen. If a man and a wife raise a child, they're less likely to end up in jail, but they have the same chance as children raised by just their fathers. The husband and wife raise their kid. The chance of this kid going to jail is the same as just the father raising his kids. The problem is the single mother without a father in the picture that can sit there and discipline the kids, give them hope, values, principles, all the other stuff. We play different roles. This is statistic. If somebody's watching and saying, oh my God, you're discounting women, you're discounting mothers, go get upset at the stats, not at me. This is stats. You can't get upset at 3 times 3 is 9. That's stats. I'm giving you stats that's being given to us by the government because they have access to these stats. This is disturbing. Let me continue. Girls with no fathers have lower self-esteem. We can lower crime, lower mental issues, help the economy, lower suicide rates, and decrease homelessness by bringing back the family nucleus. There are things that my wife can do as a mother that I can't do. There's things she can bring that I can't bring, but there are things I can do that she can't do. So now you may say, well, Pat, I agree. I do agree. We can lower this. We can. But then how come it's not happening? And here's the other question. Who's to blame? Who do we blame with this? Now, you may be listening to this saying, well, it's got to be the husband and wife's fault. It's got to be the man and the woman's fault. Fine. How come it's not the same ratios around the world? Why is U.S. fatherlessness at 23%? Everywhere else is 7% average. So is it really the mom and dad? So how about the mom and dad in India? How about the mom and dad in China? How about the mom and dad in Germany? How about the mom and dad in Brazil? How about the mom and dad in other places? Why are we at 23%? How did this happen? Was it like this before? Is it an evolution? Is it mainstream media? Is it Hollywood? Is it the fact that parents are afraid of parenting because everybody is so much involved? You can't do that to your kid. You can't do this to your kid. You can't discipline your kid like that. Whose fault is it? It's someone's fault. Is it the fact that, hey, we can't really bring church and schools and pray and all this stuff? I don't know. Maybe that's not something you agree with. Maybe it is. Maybe we need those values and principles. But it's somebody's fault in America that this is happening. This is purely a systemic issue that we're having. This cannot be like no, it's really the community, it's the parents, it's the culture, it's all this other stuff. No, standards are standards. We're sitting there not educating. It's not a big deal. Go ahead and do that. It's not a big deal. Go ahead and do that. It's not a big deal. Go ahead and do that. No. Standards have dropped, and the numbers are showing. If we judged a country based on how many kids are being raised by fatherless homes that's producing crimes at the levels that we're getting, sex during teenage pregnancy, abortion, suicide, incarceration, maybe we ought to look at this. Maybe this is very important. Maybe our educational system sucks. Maybe. Kids spend more time around teachers than they do around their parents. Maybe. Who do we blame? The responsibility has to lie on the nation. Maybe we're either too much involved or we're not selling. Take your time to get married. Take your time before you have sex with someone. Take your time before you get pregnant. Take your time before you have a baby. Protect yourself, stay home, do not just go out there and have unprotected sex. Maybe we're not talking about this kind of stuff. Maybe we are, maybe we're not. The stat says we're not selling it in the right way, and we're paying a price for it. If you're in a community that crime is high, hello, you're feeling it. That's the stats. So the next time you see a father that takes their job as a father seriously, you can actually say, you know how we see somebody in military uniform? Guess what you say? Hey, thank you for your service. What do you mean? Hey, man, stats, 23% fatherlessness. And you're there with your kids? Thank you for your service. Being a father is tough. Good for you guys, husband and wife, trying to make this work. Marriage is tough. Salute. You make my life better and safer by raising good kids. Salute to you. Maybe we ought to give those awards. Maybe we need to kind of recognize Father of the Year award, a bigger deal. Man, if I ran a state or a country, we would be recognizing certain behavior and turning great fathers and mothers into heroes. Because God knows their job is hard, very hard. Not, making their job harder, and not recognizing the guys that are doing a good job, just kind of winging it, which is the way we're doing it right now. Stats don't favor us. We got some work to do. This is an area, I will very comfortably say America's got a lot of work to do. We've stepped away from values and principles, and we're kind of winging it. Anyways, no one masters parenting, and none of us know if we're going to be great parents or not for about 40 years until our kids are 40 years old. By the time you know you're a great parent, you're probably not alive because your grandkids will validate that you were a good parent. So you're never going to know whether you were a great parent or not. But I made a video from all the different things I've learned and what I apply in my life about parenting called How to Raise Successful Kids. If you've never seen it, click here to watch that video. Shout out to those of you guys that take your job as a father very seriously. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye, bye-bye.